Now, we take on West Ham at home this weekend, and joining us now is Dom Smith from the Evening Standard. Dom, welcome to Inside Gooners. How you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. I've got to start with the obvious question. New manager, Graham Potter. I think there has been a slight improvement in the team's performance. You've looked, I think, a little bit better. How have you found him so far?
Yeah, they have looked a little bit better, but of course we've seen how the likes of David Moyes is doing at Everton. I mean, he's had an instant impact, and I don't think it's been quite that good from Graham Potter. I mean, the fact of the matter is they have lost 4 of their first 6 games under Potter, West Ham. And yeah, the football has been a little bit better, but I think it's been sort of small improvements, and it's going to be a longer term thing for sure for him.
Now, last season, of course, we know that you came to the Emirates, you won 2-0, a little bit of a smash and grab, Arsenal the better side, and you managed to get the 2-0 win. You had to get it, yeah, of course. But how are you feeling about coming to the Emirates this weekend? Arsenal in good form, 15 unbeaten. What are your expectations for the game?
Well, I think it could be very difficult for West Ham, to be honest. I mean, Arsenal have been able to make sure that their exit from the Carabao Cup hasn't sort of derailed their Premier League form, and West Ham, of course, as I've said, have been slightly better under Potter, but not to a huge extent. I think it's going to be a difficult one. I mean, they've got difficulties up front. They haven't got Mikel Antonio available, of course, or Nicholas Füllkrug up front. So I think there could be a start for the first time for Evan Ferguson, who of course joined on loan from Brighton. But yeah, it could be a very difficult afternoon for West Ham, and if it goes badly, then it'll be 5 defeats in 7 for Potter, and that really wouldn't be a good start at all.
Yeah, Dom, what have you made of the little you've seen of Evan Ferguson? Obviously, I know he was linked with Arsenal at some points, with Chelsea. He's had a tough time at Brighton, but has there been sort of promise in the little you've seen of him so far?
Yeah, I mean, he came off the bench against in the last game against Brentford, which was a really disappointing match for West Ham. I think in the first half, when he wasn't on the pitch, it was probably one of West Ham's worst halves of football of the season. But yeah, in terms of Ferguson, I think he and Matthias Tell were probably 2 of the more talked about players in the January transfer window. Of course, there were lots of clubs looking at Evan Ferguson, including Arsenal from afar and Chelsea. I think people knew that he was going to become available. Brighton were willing to let him go. But I think West Ham's interest was probably more serious than most clubs. Bayer Leverkusen were in for him as well. But yeah, West Ham, of course, he knew that he would be pretty much guaranteed game time at West Ham, given the injuries to Füllkrug and to Antonio as well. So I think he will get a good run in the team. And yeah, he's a very capable footballer. Of course, he was being talked about as a sort of potential £100 million player. One of the most exciting teenagers in English football when he broke through at Brighton. I think he's probably suffered a few kind of injuries, and he's not kicked on in quite that way. But yeah, I think he's still an exciting player, and certainly for these next few months, he could be an important player for West Ham as they bid to make a strong end to what is frankly a dead season now, really, with them being out of the Cups.
Dom, do you think the off-field problems of Lewis Paquetá is affecting him on the pitch?
I don't know, because I do actually think he's been slightly better under Potter. I mean, I don't think the results yet have been better under Potter, but I think he is a player who has looked a little bit more lively than he did under Julian Lopetegui, the previous manager. But he picked up a knock in training yesterday, and I think he's a doubt for the weekend. I think West Ham are yet to fully assess him in terms of knowing how big the injury could be. But yeah, if we're talking about his impact this season, certainly the last few games under Potter, I think he's looked a little bit better. But it's certainly, we've seen him in better form than in previous seasons, Lucas Paquetá for West Ham, than we've seen him this season. So he's certainly not playing his best football, is he?
Dom, what are you expecting from Arsenal? Because we saw at the weekend, of course, Mikel Moreno come off the bench and score 2 goals, was the hero. Raheem Sterling's performance maybe wasn't as good as we'd all hope. What are you expecting, and what type of performance are you expecting from Arsenal to come against West Ham?
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal's results have been not too bad recently, but I think their performances have been quite inconsistent. I mean, it's difficult to know what to expect. I think they'll probably go similar again with sort of Leandro Trossard or Mikel Merino as the sort of nominal striker. It's going to be difficult to see whether they make that work in this match. But certainly West Ham's defence has been one of the worst defences in the Premier League this season. They've shipped a lot of goals. I think only really the sort of teams really in and around the bottom 3 are comparable in terms of goals conceded. So I think if Arsenal get it right in the final third, they could have a good day at the office. But it's been a difficult one for West Ham this season at centre-back. Certainly players like Mavropanos, who I think previously played for Arsenal, actually have not endured a particularly good season at all.
Dom, I was at the Villa-West Ham game, and I think that was probably West Ham's best performance under Graham Potter, where they basically went like a 5-3-1-1. Kudus was floating around Paquetá up front. So do you think, and West Ham made it very physical, which surprised me. So you think that's the way they're going to approach it on Saturday?
I think it'll be no different against Arsenal, but certainly there'll be an emphasis on physicality. Players like Kilman and on at right back Aaron Wan-Bissaka have got that in their locker, and I think they'll have to do that to go toe to toe with Arsenal.
Simon, where worries you for West Ham? Because I think there's a severe lack of pace in the West Ham team when you've watched them, certainly defensively, as Don was just saying there. But where, from Arsenal's perspective, can West Ham really trouble Arsenal, do you think?
I think Kudus and Bird will be key. I think if they're going to play the sort of way you expect West Ham to sort of sit deep and soak up and try and hit Arsenal on the counter, those players are vital. And Kudus is a player I think is a really, really nice player. I think he'd actually almost suit Arsenal in the way he can create something out of nothing outside the box. He's got that creativity. So I think for Arsenal, that is where they will just need to be careful. I think there'll be a desire to try and be on the front foot, to try and dominate. Do you know,
they made it really stop-start against Villa. They were very physical. They were clever, like niggly fouls, little tactical fouls. They were aggressive, especially the three centre-halves. If whoever we play up front, whether it's Sterling or whether Trossard, they will go and they actually press. They'll sit a little bit deep. When it comes into their half, then they'll go and press. And Kudus, he's the one that worked, because I think he's a player that, again, another one that picks his games.
Yeah.
And I know that he knows that he's in the shop window when he's playing at the Emirates. And against Villa, they played him as Paquetá was up front, and then they played Kudus as like the floater.
Dom Smith there from the Evening Standard. Listen, I'd like to sit here and think, we're Arsenal comfortable. Still part of me still thinks a bit nervous, but Arsenal should get the job done, though.
It should do, yeah. And I think it might be a case of trying to break West Ham down, which Arsenal have struggled a bit this season. But I just think, they should, that should be a result that you win and you put a little bit of pressure on Liverpool before they play Sunday.
It's great that Paquetá might be injured. Only want him just a little calf.
Yeah.
A little calf.
Not a bad one.
Not a bad one. No,
just out for the weekend.
I don't wish anything really sort of long term on him. But every fan's like, oh, that's Andy, because he's another one again who can pick his games. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
He can raise his level.
All right, well, it's time now for questions from the viewers. I'll give you a question one. This first one's from Dom O'Connell. He says, with Tomiyasu out for the rest of the season, should we sell him in the summer? I'll come to you first, Simon.
I think they'll struggle to sell him in the summer would be the issue, I think, given when he's missed the whole season of football. I think fans and almost prospective buyers have kind of forgotten what he brings. It's difficult with his contract. He's going to have a year left in the summer, but there is an option. So I think I'd almost be keep him for that next season, try and raise his value, and then look to sell him. And it's a shame because he is a great player, but availability is key, isn't it? You need players who are going to be available, and he just hasn't been that.
I think other fans don't understand his importance to Arsenal because of the versatility, as you said there, that he can play right back, centre back, left back. And although he hasn't had much game time, I still think if he was to go in the summer, I'd still be a little bit, gutted. But as you said there, you can't just keep someone for sentimental values. I do think, though, there have been times where Arsenal have needed him, and I think he's performed. Yeah,
and I think as well what we said about the financial side, so whether you get him off, I know he's not going to be one of the highest earners, but you get him off the wages, and then that goes to your revenue that you can't get. Brilliant centre forward.
All right, well, question number 2. Are we surprised, because I'm not, with how Howard Webb reacted to Miles Lewis-Skelly's red card on the show Mic'd Up? Simon?
Yeah, honestly, please. What happens is, this is, when they say they want referees to be interviewed after the games, right? What happens is you end up justifying a decision rather than clarifying it. And when he was going out, saying it was the wrong decision, great. Then please don't go on and say, but I can understand because it was just above the ankle and I can understand on field why he sent him off. You go, no, I'm really sorry, Howard, you've lost all your credibility. Yeah. Because any watches thought, I was actually at the game. And I had to be careful because people know that I'm a gooner. And I just looked at it, and at first I thought, is it a denying goal scope opportunity? Because Wolves are on the counter-attack, and you think, well, they're 60 yards away. You go, that's not it. And then you think, no, it's for serious foul play. It's a trip. That's it. Just say that Michael Oliver was too quick to get his red card out. He should have given himself that 3 or 4 second breathing space. Do you know what I mean? Because if he books him, and then the VAR thinks it's reckless and dangerous, then he can go and look at the screen. So that the decision was wrong, the whole protocol was wrong. Darren England was wrong, the assistant VAR was wrong, and just say, yep, a massive cock up and move on.
Yeah. The main issue for me was the VAR, because I mean, Michael Oliver can get it wrong, and like you say, maybe in the moment you sort of think, oh, was he clean through or something? But as soon as you saw the replay, everyone in the stadium, I was like, it's a mistake. And it's the same when they appealed it. The panel unanimously said, yeah, it was the wrong decision. And that's where the VAR just needs to tell the referee, like, look, you've made a huge error there. Look, go and have a look at that, and you'll want to reverse that. But it's just left on the on pitch, and I always think when the Howard Webb stuff came out obviously the other day, I think Arsenal fans had kind of forgotten about it all. And then suddenly
makes you more angry.
It all came back up again, and the sort of...
You actually look at it and think, stop talking such nonsense, mate. What are you doing? And there is a hierarchy. The thing they've got to eradicate is, I've said it before, there's a hierarchy in the refereeing order.
Yeah, agreed.
Because Anthony Taylor and Michael Oliver are obviously the FIFA referees. Yeah. Darren England is frightened to go against him and go, I think you've made a mistake. So they've either got to get the same team that always works together, and so you can trust each other. Yeah. Or, which I hope they're going to do, you get specialist VARs, and they don't care that what level you are as referee. They don't care what you think, that I'm going to point out something to you. That's what I think they need to do.
Just quickly, for me on that one, I think the thing that annoyed me the most about that particular decision, it was the wrong decision, but I think in the same game, he gave Andre Gomez a yellow card for a complete awful challenge. So, but he's felt that they're the same tackle. Lewis Skelly's, who was obviously just denying them a breakaway, which is a bit cynical. We understand that, but he felt that was the same decision as the Andre Gomez, which was high, reckless, out of control, which could have done some serious damage.
Yeah, definitely. And just going further on, that's why I think he struggled in Michael Oliver, we're talking about, in the Merseyside derby, where I think his confidence had gone a little bit, and his head wasn't quite right on different decisions that he made, where he let some give innocuous fouls as free kicks, and then there was some challenges there he didn't give a yellow card. Do you know what I mean? You're like, no, you're not quite right at the minute.
Agreed. All right, the last question is, what did we make of Martin Keown's apology to Ruud van Nistelrooy on TNT Sports this weekend?
Have a day off, Martin. No, seriously. Honestly, why do you need to apologise? Because he ain't sorry.
Of course he's not.
Well, that's the point. That's what, you know, when someone, like you play Bentley, when someone comes through you, right, and you know that they've done you, and they apologise, that makes you more angry. Yeah. You know when someone's mistimed it or come in and go, sorry, mate, you go, all right. It's just a hollow apology. And for Martin just to go, because I'd have just blanked it completely.
Yeah. Forgot about it. What do you think, Simon?
I'd forgotten almost about the sort of level of vitriol between Arsenal and Ruud van Nistelrooy until the sort of Keown apology. I was looking back over, like, I don't know if you've seen, but Vieira's autobiography is like they're calling Van Nistelrooy a coward, a cheat, and all this stuff. And kind of the amount of stuff that's been said between Keown and Van Nistelrooy, I just think after 20 years, I don't know if Van Nistelrooy was waiting for an apology, because I kind of feel like he'd have been like,
he don't care. By the way, he's Dutch. Dutch people are like, no, seriously, Dutch people are like, move on. They're very straight talking, aren't they? Dutch people are like, who cares, not bothered. And then Keown, Martin to go, he was very good at buying free kicks. Basically, you're saying that he dives. You don't buy free kicks. So, when he did it, I was like, I love Martin to death, but I was like, Martin, you don't need to. Yeah. What do you think? Would you be, if you was Van Nistelrooy,
I just thought from how long ago it happened, and when I think about the great rivalries of Premier League football, I mean, that is up there. That Fergie-Wenger kind of era is up there. And I think for Martin, all these years later, I mean, I'm pretty sure Ruud didn't even probably think about it when he went over there. He wasn't thinking, oh, it's Martin Keown there. I wonder if it will kick off again. We're talking years and years ago. Do
you know where it comes from? It all came from my era. It came from when we played Man United FA Cup 5th round tie at Highbury. Brian McClare missed a penalty, ballooned it over the crossbar. I think it's still all between with Harry Kane's ball going around like the earth. Nigel Winterburn ran in his ear and said, bad luck, I'll chat back like next time. And then he started, remember the infamous 21-man brawl at Old Trafford? Yeah. That started from there. So Nigel's on the floor, Brian McClare started booting him, and then our lads all piled in, and we got docked 2 points. None of them two have apologised to each other. No. Because they're not sorry. Because it's professional football. They meant to do it. But that's where, and then obviously the Van Nistelrooy penalty, then that ignited it. So I love the fact that our games against Man United have got that little bit of...
It's celebrated, isn't it? You know, that rivalry is celebrated. In the same way now, we're kind of seeing a bit with the Arsenal-Man City rivalry. It's celebrated. It's the best thing about the Premier League, isn't it? That's what you want, the needle that go in between. So I don't think it doesn't need to apologise.
You want players
that's what you want.
Yoga celebrations.
That's Martin being Martin.